Hey everybody, Darren and Dedo here, coming up on Unexplained Cases Live. We are celebrating Oscar Sunday with a Black History tribute to fashion. Our special guest is Mel Grayson. Now, Mel is a legendary designer and stylist. He's worked on some very famous shows, A Different World, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and the hilarious House Party 3. Now, he's asked Maryam to remote view the home and life of celebrated designer Fabrice Simon. His iconic career includes dressing the most famous icons of the 90s. Sadly, though, he died at the young age of 47. Well, Mel hopes Maryam can connect them in the afterlife to learn more about this remarkable fashion designer. Unexplained Cases Live, celebrating Oscar Sunday, a Black History tribute to fashion. It is next.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am. I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am Black History.
We are Black History.
Hey.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unexplained Cases Live. You got Rick Garner, Darren, Dedo, and Maryam the Medium. That's right.
I love the intro music. That was very cool.
Oh, well, thank you. That's, I dug that one out. We brought it back, because of course, it's actually one of Oliver's favorite musics as opposed to the other one. So
anti-anxiety music for Oliver.
Do you want to know something crazy? He's like 3 or 4 years old, but he started going he started going gray on his face. And I was like, Bruce, have you noticed he's going gray? And we looked it up, and it says that dogs with high stress and anxiety can go gray if they've undergone a lot of stress at a young age. And he's already gone gray. I think I'm gonna have to start coloring his hair like with mine.
You have to get something like for men, for dogs, one of those things, those graying kits.
I think I need to. It's like his little scruff. What happened to Rick? Did I offend him or?
No. The things are a tad touchy here on this new Mac. So sometimes if I like trying to make a comment, then all of a sudden, whoo! So I'm like, okay,
poof! I disappear.
Yeah, exactly. So if that happens again, just don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. I'll be back. So.
Is it a brand new Mac you have?
Indeed. So the other one was.
Excuse me.
So, well, it only took about a month and a half to get that situated.
It really did take you a while.
So, welcome, Mr. Michael Chin and Miranda Lynn. Hey, we got some rhyming going on. Yeah.
And Jordan. Good to see Jordan.
And old J-Dog's in the house. So, welcome, everybody. Oscar Sunday, continuing a unique celebration of Black history. Mm-hmm. And we've had quite a few interesting episodes. And, of course, they've all been with our partner in crime, Miss Terry.
Hey. It's Oscars.
Looking old Oscar-y.
Yes.
Well, like Oscars across the street, but yes, Oscars.
See, was this gold sparkly? I mean, that's nice. See.
Thank you.
Curvy swagger is in the house. So
there we go.
I missed you, Twisted Team.
See, folks don't know that's your affectionate nickname for us.
There you go. Very
and
good.
The proof at the same time.
Yeah. It's very accurate too. So
Yes,
we resemble that remark. So.
Yes, you do.
That's fine. Well, well, good to see you too. What's been shaking? What's been going on? Anything new to report before we bring our guest on?
Yeah, well, I guess it's appropriate for this crew. I went to see Stranger Things, the experience.
Oh, cool!
That was super cool. It's just so I love it. I loved it because it's so interesting to see how people have adapted because of COVID, and it was staying in a parking lot. So it started out in the open, and then we went up through the parking. It was amazing to watch how precise everything was with the cars moving around and the actors and all these special effects. It was stunning. I was
no kidding.
Really,
that's sweet.
Really impressed by it. Yeah, it was very cool. Very, very cool. But
awesome.
that's
I've never seen Stranger Things.
Yeah, I hadn't, and that was the other thing is that I hadn't seen it, and so my friends had, and it didn't matter. It was so spectacular. It just didn't, I knew the storyline. I knew where, they kind of went through everything with me, but it was just gorgeous. It was a lot of great talent putting that together. It was a good time. It was
that's
really
cool.
Oh man, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's nice. Well, see, there, there's been 3 seasons, so
Yeah, 3 seasons.
there's
Gotta do
always
some binge watching.
Yeah, it's been 3 seasons. So yeah, that was the fun thing. That was really cool.
No, and of course, they'd have to make an experience out of that. Something that's been around that long, it'd be, an opportunity to live it, a little more of this.
Right. Believe me, there was a lot of that because it was crowded. It was very crowded. So, but it was nice to be in the car and just, go through. It was cool. It's a lot of fun.
Nice to get out, I'm sure, right? I mean,
yes, that was the other thing. Something to do.
Yeah.
There's something to do out in the world. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of awesome things and a lot of fascinating topics I'm sure we're going to get into. Terry, would you like to introduce before the rest of us slip into the green room? You have someone very special joining us tonight.
Yes, actually, I have known Mel for a very long time. I met Mel when I was just starting out here in LA, and I was working on Different World as an extra because I worked with Debbie Allen and Norman Nixon with their management company, and I did extra work to make extra money. And he was one of the wardrobe costumers for the show, and it is one of the best memories I've ever had in my career. And he's just a brilliant designer and stylist, and he's worked with everyone. And I really wanted to talk to him about the evolution of that era of time, which was so big in television and music and film, and then it kind of died, and now it's hopefully on its way to change for good. It's not a phase, but we're going to see more diversity in the industry. And I really wanted to talk to him about fashion. And I thought tonight would be great because it's the Oscars and it's all about fashion. So
perfect timing for sure. Well, we'll bring on Mr. Mel right there. And you've got your mic muted there, sir. So as soon as you can unmute yourself. Then we will slip into the green room. There should be like a little button that you can be able to punch and then make your mic be unmuted.
Yeah. Like if you see the
down below
icon below, you see the mute, then you can
you might have to tap your screen.
Oh, that could be it. Yeah,
if you don't see it, tap your screen and it'll show up at the bottom of the screen.
Can you see it?
Actually, can you hear us, you think?
Can you hear us, Mel? Because I know the sound wasn't working before.
Yeah, I think he can.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you tap your screen and then look at the bottom.
And it's a little mic and you just hit the mic.
Right next to the stop cam button.
I mean, this does go along with the theme Unexplained Cases because
out.
That's the beauty with technology. Even technology can be unexplained.
Yes. Oh no, technology can definitely 100%. 100%.
Now it's just kind of exciting to see. We should put wagers on how long it'll take.
Oh, might be getting some help. Oh.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know.
How many people?
I don't know.
Let's say, unless I was hearing something else for a second, I almost thought I was hearing him really low, which I was like,
uh-oh.
What am I hearing?
All the people that give me a hard time about not doing live television.
This may be a case where, Mel, you may need to sign out and sign back in. Might be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because it's nothing, unfortunately, I can fix.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to tell if he can hear us or not.
Is that his phone he's using?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was saying you could send him a text message, but I guess I don't know.
Okay,
so
come in and
so
go.
We're like, oh, we were able to do it. All right.
we'll
Making some progress.
we'll try this.
Oh my goodness.
And in the meantime,
We're live.
Well,
I'm
you
going
could
to
start.
start.
So you could do the remote, maybe. I'm just trying to, but I mean, I don't know.
I know with the
But I guess it'd be like, hey, what are we talking about? Of course, we want Mel to tell us a little bit.
Hey,
Talk about Oliver's toy chicken.
Or getting.
That's hilarious.
It's so cute. Isn't it cute?
it's fabulous.
That's
It's fabulous.
hilarious.
Oh,
Oh my
I'm professionally back.
Hello,
Hey.
Mel. Are you there, sir?
Mel, can you hear us?
Here, everybody. Yes.
Awesome.
Hello.
Awesome.
Okay, cool.
All right. So, Mel, I'm leaving you in the capable hands of Terry, and we'll see you shortly.
Okay.
I can you're good now? You can hear and everything?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just saying before we brought you on that we met each other in early 90s.
Yeah.
And
I was hearing all that, but you guys weren't hearing me. I was like feeling like I was on
Okay, this is good. We're all caught up. So one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to do this today is obviously because of Oscars. And I was reading some of the about some of the Oscar history that's being made. That Viola Davis is now the most nominated Black actress at the Oscars, which I absolutely adore her. So I'm very, very happy about that. And yeah, I just love her. And Andra Day, I cannot wait to see this. I haven't seen it yet. I cannot wait to see this because it's about Billie Holiday and she's nominated as well. I know that when we first met and we were working in that era of Fresh Prince and Different World and all of that, there was this excitement because there was so much going on at the same time for Black creatives. There was so much music going on. There was, Debbie was always doing the Oscars. There was just so much at the same time that was going on. And I remember being so excited and antsy because I wanted to work my way up the ladder quicker so I could be doing more things from an executive level because it was just such a cool time. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. And there was that point where it just sort of slid down and then it was like, and now there's no more diversity. How do you feel about this era now? Because I kind of feel like there's an excitement where it's going to change for good. That it's not this era, but it is a very slow, but there's a change happening. Do you feel the same way?
Well, that's a yes and no answer because like when I see like the things like the Grammy Awards, I think that was a huge step backwards because I was very embarrassed even seeing that. And we shouldn't be embarrassed about seeing our images at this day and time. So that was one thing that went backwards. But then again, when you have like all of the Black people now present and accounted for, mostly Black women, which is like really something that's not really happened a lot before. But but then again, we take one step up and then they take two steps back because now they're throwing the women up front, but now you don't hear about the men.
Right.
So that bugs me a little bit because it just gets to be always confusion. There's always something that's not right,
Right.
Just a little bit of something. And that's originally why I left after doing all the stuff that I did. I decided, okay, I'm done with America. Let me travel to Europe and do something there.
Right.
But it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. But still, the trip was great because I got to get away from here.
Right.
And there was a whole different culture. And then it was just like,
that
kind of made me want to come back to America because then I realized that, if you're going to make things better, you have to do them yourself.
Have to be here. Yeah. And that's the thing is as time goes on and there's more opportunities for people of color to be in the deciding positions, in the positions of power to be able to make change, that's how it will continue to get better and grow. And because I've watched a lot of my friends, and including myself, trying to climb up the ladder and how difficult it has been. And but I'm starting to see more people get in the door and get in the room and start to make change. But I wanted to talk more about fashion and how, as long as I've known you, I never knew how you got started in fashion. How did you even get inspired to do it or start? What was your...
Well, initially it was my mother and my sister. My mother was a great sewer. My sister was a great sewer and a pattern maker. And my sister was here in California, and we were in Dallas, Texas. And my mom went to come here and visit my elder sister, my elder brother, who lived here. And we'd never been out of Texas before, so it was the first time leaving the state. We took the train here 3 days to come from Dallas, Texas to California. And we came here, and it was just amazing. So the first day that we were here, we went to visit my sister at work. And it was just interesting to see, like, there were all these Black women who were just like the major pattern makers and this and then that and the sample maker. And it was just like amazing because she just had so much Black power in those rooms. And she was sort of a freelancer, so she jumped from one place to the other. And the last place she ended up was with Mr. Blackwell. And so she was his pattern maker, and I got to meet him a couple of times. I actually got invited to his Christmas party. And so when I go and see those, and you see all this glamour and all these in this big house and all that kind of thing, a little Black me, you know, in the midst of all that, I was like, I like this. So that kind of got me going, you know. And then my mom would make a lot of my clothes. And when I asked her to make this particular shirt, which had this collar down to here, she looked at me and she says, if you want that, you got to make it yourself. And I was like,
my grandmother.
Okay. And I dashed out as soon as high school. I kissed my wife at the time goodbye, and I enrolled in fashion college, and that was it.
Wow.
You know, so from there, I just started working at different, and I was always like the evening dress, the dressy guy. I've never been like the sort of casual guy, not even in my own dress. And so I got, you know, prom dress company first, this thing called Rock Candy, and I did stuff for that. And then I started freelancing and just selling sketches to a lot of companies and making $150 a sketch back then. So I got rich. And then just sort of Debbie Allen actually hooked me up and was the thing that sort of started my TV career, because I was doing a lot of videos and that kind of thing. Her and David Steinberg, because I don't know how I met David Steinberg, but he was remember the comedian? He was a comedian first, and then he sort of turned his career around and became a video commercial producer. And so I did probably about 30 or more different commercials with him, and that I had those two things balancing, commercials and videos over here, and then TV over here. And it was just fun, you know. And I worked 7 days out of the week, and I was never tired, you know.
Because it was what you loved, of course.
Always. I mean, that's something that I still love, except that it's so much harder now on the guys, as far as I'm concerned, to be in the industry, because I don't know, there's just sort of this stigma now that it's women that should be doing that. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting. So I just stepped away to do something else, and that was education. And that was when I got sort of adopted into the film family through another friend of mine who unfortunately had a brain aneurysm, and now he's like incapacitated. I was sorry. Yeah, it was really kind of weird, and it was just really kind of unfortunate because he was always my rock, and he sort of ushered me through my first couple of years there. And that maybe about my 4th year there, and then 20 years later, you know, here it is. And so I just formally retired from him just a few months ago. So
oh my God, congratulations.
Now I'm just, I'm starting my new life. So who knows what I'm going to do next.
A lot of people are doing. I think even people that weren't ready to retire have started, you know, their new chapter in life. And I don't know who designed FITM, but what I loved when I came to visit you is that it's such a beautiful environment for an artist, that it just really encourages students to, you know, just be and flourish. And the whole space was just so cool. I just wanted to go back to just, you know, create in the space, because that was such a wonderful campus. And I know I did a year at FIT in New York, and that too is just such a great school, and, you know, so many great memories. But let's talk a little bit about the A-listers that you worked with. You know who I'm going to ask you about. Can you tell me a little bit about working with Aretha? Sorry. You tell me a little bit about working with Aretha.
Aretha? Oh my Lord. I can just tell you that if Bullock Wilshire could speak, the building could speak itself, they would be whispering real strange things about that, because I had the elevator with her and her mom, and they got out of the big limo, and I was waiting for them about an hour and a half. And so I'd gone upstairs and looked at clothes, and the manager person had told me she's about a size 14.
Right.
So, and I didn't think that was right, but I had that happen a lot of times. You know, people tell me that someone is smaller than they actually are, which is a death fall for a stylist, because you want to make sure that you get the right styles and the right size. So I went up and I picked some things, and I know that she was into furs. I went to the fur room and pulled some things from there as well. I'm set up and ready since I had that extra time, right? So I go back downstairs and I'm waiting. I see the big car pull in. I see them get out of the car. And so I'm there smiling with open arms, and they look at me like, and I was like, okay, I see this is not going to be easy. So I introduced myself. I put my hand out to shake her hand or something. No hand. Where are we going? I was like, we're going to take a look at some clothes. So, and her mama said, we don't have a lot of time. And I was like, okay. So I rushed up, and then, you know, as we walked through the thing, you know, whispers start whispering, you know, that's right. And, you know, and she's not, I don't know what had happened the day before, but Madam was not feeling it. So we get up to the floor, and I have these things picked, and she said, who's going to wear that? And I says, well, hopefully you'll like them. And she said, honey, that ain't my size. I can't get in that. And I was like, okay. I said, not a problem. And so I asked the lady that was just, you know, do you have any size 16? And so she was like, 16s? It was like, that didn't exist, you know? So I was like,
exactly. It didn't.
And she was actually about a size 18. But, you know, I was just going to humor them and just like, look, you see what you're looking at, you know, just get something.
Exactly.
There was nothing in her size. 2 minutes later, she was cussing out everybody that was in ear reach, you know, and I'm just kind of there, and I couldn't stop her, and mom is okaying and all that stuff. And she gets on the elevator, and I think you can hear her from the top of the building to the bottom of the building cussing out Bullock Wilshire for not having any effing clothes in her size, and stomping out the door. And I was just kind of left when she went through that makeup area, you know, that used to be the whole floor of Bullock Wilshire was like all the beautiful makeup counters. And so she went through there just reading everybody that looked in her direction. So I try to follow them, you know, didn't say goodbye to me, didn't say, you know, who or what. I just waved, and that was it. You know, so I called the manager next door and read him the riot act about, you know, misleading me with the size thing. And it was just, it was, you know, it's a bad experience, you know, and I never got to see her again after that, you know, so, you know, but that was probably,
I wanted you to tell us
my experiences all the time that I was in the business, you know, that was it, so.
Right. The reason why I wanted you to tell that story, I'm sorry that I always, the first time you told me, I was laughing too. The only reason that I wanted you to tell it is because so many people, because all the stylists I know, all you guys say the same thing, and it's true. Everybody thinks it's glamour and fun, and it's one of the toughest jobs. And it's one of the toughest jobs because you're dealing with, you know, you're dealing with someone's ego, you're dealing with someone's, you know, body, whatever thing they got going on, you know, different sizes. And back then there wasn't what there is now. But what's your favorite, now that I made you tell that story, what is your favorite experience with a celebrity styling them?
Probably Patti LaBelle, you know, because we had, my best friend at that time was, Rudy Calvo, who was probably one of the best makeup artists. He was, I think he was Cuban or Puerto Rican. I never knew, but he was probably the best makeup artist for all Black women, and just so knowledgeable about all the stars. He had been working with Patti for a while, and he kind of brought me in. So we ended up doing the McDonald's double patty commercials, and she became a mom on a different world. So I got to help her there, and then providing clothes for the for her wardrobe on the things. Where I met this other designer, Angela Dean, who had Dean Design, and she became sort of the number one designer for Patti LaBelle at the time, and quite a few of the other people that I worked with. So Patti was always cool, and she was always on. There wasn't a moment that she wasn't on. I remember I was looking for purses for her, and she said, "Well, make sure it'll fit my hot sauce bottle." So because she would carry her hot sauce everywhere, so that she would have her own spice for the food. Yes. So I had to make sure that I got room in those bags for hot sauce, because it was just always something that she wanted to have around. And she was funny, Patti could just crack you up.
Incredibly funny. Yeah.
And Little Richard, I have to mention, because Little Richard, I did him for the video for that thing with
Shelley Duvall?
twins.
Oh, okay.
Pardon?
I thought it was
twins
Shelley Duvall.
For what?
I thought you were going to say that when Shelley Duvall was doing the fairy tale series, he was in that with the big pink hair. I can't remember what character he did. I thought that's what you were going to say.
Movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
And so we did part of a video for that. They weren't, they were, Schwarzenegger and he were, and so I dressed them as twins, and then I had Philip Bailey and Little Richard as twins.
That's amazing.
Okay. And so Little Richard was just, once he found out that he could make me laugh, it was just fantastic. And then he said, "I'll shut up."
Oh my God, his sense of humor, I loved him.
Because he was really good. So I've had a lot of people that I liked.
Right, which is good because it could be the other way around. I did, before we move on to Fabrice, I did want to talk to you about Cross Colors, because I still have my Cross Colors t-shirt that's so old, and they made you guys did a relaunch at one point and had the exhibit at the California African American Museum. Tell me about that whole process.
Well, that was a great experience because I'd never actually done a museum installation, so it was my first. So TJ, who was the original designer for Cross Colors, also worked at FIT'em with me. So we've always had this communication, because when they first started, then I helped them with, like distribution of the clothes. I had almost all of my stars wearing Cross Colors, so that was a good promo. And then a lot of the other commercials and things that I worked in, I was always bring something from their company in, and so they became huge. They made about $60 million in 1 year.
Huge.
And so I just started launching different kinds of things for me. And I remember when I started the guys on a different world, like wearing, they would just wear a t-shirt under something. And I thought, well, that's kind of boring. I hate t-shirts. The only thing I use for t-shirts is sleep. And so I started doing light colors, pulling the color out of something and putting a bright colored t-shirt underneath everything. And so that kind of became a trend on the other shows, because all the other costume designers started using that idea, which is fine. That's just a compliment to me. And it's fun doing that kind of thing,
And you putting it on Will Smith was really what blew it up. The cross color. That's really what blew it up. And what I liked about what the brand stands for is the timing is really perfect now for it to be back, because it's all about unity and diversity. And so, and the exhibit was wonderful. You really did a great job with the exhibit.
It was probably one of the best ever museum editions that they ever had. And the opening night was like amazing. I mean, there was thousands of people there, thousands, and they had DJs after, so there was a huge party in the thing. And it was the first night that I also got to meet my niece, who I hadn't seen in 40 plus years.
Wow.
Because her mom passed away and her father took her from us, and we didn't get to connect. So through Facebook, she came back and we talked, and I invited her to that night. So that was the first time that we met, and we've like this ever since. So it was like a double kind of whammy. Because I had worked so hard on that show, and You know, I did all the mannequins, and I had all those props, you know, pagers. And
I know. I couldn't believe all the stuff that was in the exhibit. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So
So it's a pivotal moment for me as well as for TJ, because that really synced it with a lot of people and bringing that label back.
yeah, and it should be brought back. Talk to me about Fabrice and that era in New York and when you first met him.
Well, you know, that was the period in fashion where we were sort of on the periphery, you know, because there's Stephen Burrows and there was him and there was quite a few male designers, you know, that were happening. Those were kind of my precursors to wanting to go into fashion and going to New York City and seeing, you know, the street fashion and how people dress there, which was so different from California. And it was non-apologetic. You know, if you wore a shoe on your head, something like that, it was considered fashion, and nobody should like, you know, like get in your face about it. So that was the thing that sort of pushed me forward. And so I met Fabrice at, it was an after fashion event, I think, for some other young fashion designer that had done something at the Garage, which was a gay dance club. And so after that, they had this kind of after party thing, and I went to the after party. And I was always by myself in New York, which was like, you know, you think that as many people as there are, but I never ran into my friends. So that night after the show, you know, came up and introduced himself. He said he had seen me at the other show and he liked something, my shoes or something that I had on. And so we started chatting after that, and they were going to some restaurant, and there were more friends of his. So we went to the restaurant, and it was like really cool. And, you know, there in New York, the night doesn't start until the morning, you know, and I'm an LA kid, you know, I close
it's a different thing.
by 2 a.m. You know, so it's like 4 o'clock in the morning and everybody's like peppy and actually wanted to go out at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, number one, I need to change clothes because I'm not going any place with an outfit on. And so he laughed at that. And so we were up until broad daylight, you know, and so he just sort of opened my eyes about a lot about fashion and told me like how hard it was for him. You know, because even though he was doing this elegant stuff and it was in a few stores and that kind of thing, and he had private customers, it was still a struggle, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then, you know, and it was kind of eye-opening too, because here in California we didn't have that kind of struggle. You know, it was very easy for me to introduce myself to haute society, I call it. You know, like the Beverly Hills and that upper echelon of customers. Because I was always into the dressy stuff, and plus I had the entree into going into the better stores, you know, because, you know, I dressed the part and I wasn't rude. I was always nice to people, and so that just sort of expressed it. And the best thing that was ever said about me was when I gotten probably about $5 million from Van Cleef and Arpels, and the lady said to me as I was leaving, "You're the only black man that can walk out of here with this much jewelry and not have a gun."
That's so wrong. And
I put it in my backpack and got in my Volvo station wagon and came home and tried on everything.
You're funny. Did you ever get to see him again after that, or that was sort of the
that was the case closed. I never got to see him again, but we did have a conversation or two, because he had invited me to some really society-based fashion show that he was going to do, and you know, I just couldn't jump up because I was involved in something else at that time, and I couldn't leave. So you know, I thanked him for that, and then you know, I checked back with him. The fashion show went, and it went very well. And he said he sold stuff, and then about maybe 3 months later, I read something somewhere that you know he had the AIDS virus, and after that, less than 3 months later, he was gone.
He was gone. Yeah, I remember.
You know, and that began that whole wave of so many people leaving.
Yeah, no, I remember. I was in New York then, and when you said his name, I knew immediately because my mom had a dress that she loved. That was by Fabrice, so I knew who he was, and that was just such yeah. She loved her bling. She loved her bling. And I just, you know, just the number 47 and someone that had contributed so much to the industry and found success. It's just, it's so sad, that whole era, how many people we lost and how we lost them.
It is. You know, and there was like a couple of ways with that, because first it was the majors, and then after the majors, it was their assistants and that kind of thing. And after that, there was assistant assistants, and all the creative people just took out of here. By the 90s, there was just very little left, you know, of that. So, and it's so sad because all of that talent by now would have been humongous. It would have had companies and their own. I mean, it was just really sad. You know, and I find myself very fortunate from that because, you know, I mean, I wasn't one of those like that went out, you know. I stayed home. I didn't like party, and I didn't carry on. You know, I was just like the quiet guy in the corner, in the back, in the dark. You know, and I am still in that place, you know, because I don't like that. I've never really liked the camera. You know, I like to be in the back. You know, so like this right here, but it took me a little bit longer to get started because, you know, it's just like I'm a little bit nervous about that. I want to be in the back of the camera and watching the photographer's back, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Well, what I know that we have the lovely Maryam to help and investigate about Fabrice. What would you like to find out? I know the questions I have, but what would you like to find out about Fabrice and his life, his very short life?
Probably that if he were fulfilled in what he did bring to the world in terms of fashion, because he was in a category that most Black designers were not, and most everybody else was in something that was casual, Steph and Barrels, or something that was even Steph and Barrels evening gowns you could wear to a hoedown, you know.
Exactly.
The beating and all that elegance, you would only want to be in a, you know, a affair. So I just want to know that in his short time that he was there, did he actually get fulfilled, you know, with that?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I just wonder about, because I think a lot of times when you're an artist, you're you tend to think about the next goal. So you're always in motion thinking about that next goal. So I'm always really curious for people who were successful. Did they remember the moments, or did they just, you know, I've always felt that way about Basquiat, because Basquiat was only like 26 years old when he died. It was, but I, you know, seeing his documentary way too many times, the fact that he kept working and never slept, like he knew he didn't have that much time. I'm always curious to know how did they feel? Did they feel like they were accomplishing something, or was there always this angst of I got to keep going, I got to make it to that next point? So I'm always curious about something like that. So where are you, Maryam?
I was wondering if I was coming back. I was like, hello?
Hello.
I was waiting for that.
Is she there?
Hi, Mel.
Can you hear her? Can you hear all of us?
Hello.
Mel?
I hear you.
Okay.
I bet she's still spinning on.
Can you hear everyone, or just me?
Not yet.
Maryam, say something.
Just you.
Did you hear?
Check 1, 2, 3. Hey, Mel.
Hello, Maryam. There, everybody's there.
Okay, he can hear everybody. Okay,
hello.
cool.
Hello.
All right. So, what do we got here? Nice to meet you, Darren. Do you want to kick us off with some info, or?
It's up to, well, if Mel just wants to talk, if he wants to talk about Fabrice, we can, or I've just got some information about where he lived, which we can talk about, because you're going to try to remote where he lived in Long Island. Is that correct?
We tried to find it, but I'm glad you found some information on it.
Yeah. Here, I can bet you. Okay, so Fire Island Pines, we believe that's where he lived. Yep. It goes by The Pines or simply Pines. It's in the town of Brookhaven in Suffolk County. Island, a barrier island on the south side of Long Island. That's where it is. Fire Island Pines and adjoining Cherry Grove are areas most strongly associated with the gay community on Fire Island. In fact, the island has been referred to as America's first gay and hello.
He's just agreeing.
That's okay. That was good. Yeah, it's the first gay and lesbian town and served since the 20s and 30s as a refuge for vacationers and others who desired the more liberal attitude of the island's occupants, which was allowed. So obviously it's a very open and inclusive, diverse community. And it seems like it's so sad he died so soon, but it seems like it was a great community that he was a part of.
Okay, so
Okay,
let's.
I see me. I see you. I see Maryam.
Okay.
Are you good? Okay.
I'm gonna okay, so thank you, Darren. I'm going to jump in and talk to Fabrice. Fabrice was he was very shy. He was, even though he was out in the public a lot, he actually didn't that wasn't his favorite place to be. He did it because he felt that that was part of how he felt. He's saying that he felt like if I was out in the public eye, I wouldn't feel like a threat to others, and I would be more accepted and people would be more comfortable around me. I also, of course, used it as a networking, but that was not my favorite part of the job, but it was something I felt like I had to do. He was carrying a secret for a very long time. And that was a really heavy burden on him. It was exhausting for him. I'm not the secret. I'm not really, I don't know if maybe everyone didn't know he was out of the closet. If it's possible that he didn't, his parents didn't know or something, because there was a secret that he carried that was a very big burden. He what?
He what, Mel?
I said be in Puerto Rico. And that you don't want your family to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And he had been sick for a while. He actually he knew he was sick a lot longer than anyone else knew or the press knew. And he carried that.
That was probably the secret.
That was probably the secret too. He carried. He was a very he had like
everybody
this
at that particular time. Like nobody wanted to be out because it was like.
Go ahead. Sorry, there's a delay.
There's a delay on your audio.
So he's. So for him, life was never. Yeah, there's a
yes, and yours. It's a long pause between what you say and.
Which is okay. We just don't want you to think we're talking over you. So for him, tell me, there was a question, Terry. What was the question? Mel had a very specific question.
He wanted to know if he was fulfilled in the short time that he had to, be in the industry and create. Did he feel like he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish?
Yeah. So he was really grateful for the time that he had. He was always very grateful and knew that it wasn't normal or typical for him to have that kind of success and to be in the position he was in. He was grateful for every moment of it and felt like, yes, I mean, could I have done more had I lived longer? Yes, but that really wasn't. He also didn't really want. He carried this depression with him anyway. He was not a overly joyous person. No. Life. He struggled a lot emotionally, and so. He's saying I'm actually talking to him. He was very happy with the work that he did. He was very happy for the opportunities he had. He wouldn't have changed anything. The only thing he would have changed was feeling like he could be more free to be himself. And really that has nothing to do with his skin color as much as he's saying it was his sexuality. That was really the biggest burden for him, was that he's saying that he grew up in a home and in a time where he didn't have experienced a lot of racism, he was very much loved and accepted, but where he was not accepted was his sexuality. So that was really where his struggle lives and lived. He carries a really heavy heart for someone in particular. It feels like a relationship that he left that was unfinished. And so a lot of his pain and feeling like incomplete comes from not being able to finalize a relationship with somebody he had a relationship with. He also understands and is sharing just that he knows that he was like a how is he saying it, like just a tiny grain of sand on this large beach, because he's saying I don't know that I ultimately could have kept up the pace, because I could feel that the fight to stay relevant was inevitable, and I just didn't have that fight in me. I was gifted and lucky to get as far as I got, but I really I wouldn't have had the fight anyway to keep going. That just as far as professionally, I was happy with what I could do and what I was able to do, but I wasn't willing to, really fight and what is he saying? Like step over one person to get to the next. Like that just wasn't my style. It's not something I could have ever done. And I know that roadblocks would have came up also simply because, and I think Terry, you alluded to this, that there was this moment of acceptance for Black men and women, and then that just disappeared. And he said that's where I know I couldn't have clawed my way. I would have just been kind of stuck with what I had accomplished and had just been done at that point. And so, hang on, he's saying something very specific to Mel. He's just saying I really liked you, Mel. I liked your energy. That's why I was drawn to you. I tended to be drawn to people that had I would find the people that had a warm heart, and I would navigate to them almost in a way out of desperation to find something that was that felt warm and that felt good in an otherwise very empty world. And he's saying, I'm not saying the industry itself was empty, but I carried a emptiness already. I carried a again, this like low level depression already. And I was always seeking confirmation and acceptance, because that was the one thing again, due to his sexuality, that he didn't receive. He didn't receive that at home, and he didn't receive that from others.
Right.
Terry, you had
see that. I mean, I think that's why he had that very side one.
What'd you say, Mel?
No, I said I could see that, because he did have that very shy side, because actually when he came to me to introduce himself, it was just like if he was asking if he could introduce himself to me, and I was like, I mean, I'm open to everybody, so I would never shun anybody, but it was really nice. Out of all the people who were there, he was the only person that approached me that way, so it was very nice. And he was like, very attractive, and I think that got in the way of a lot of things, for him, because that was kind of the bridge, that you'd have to kind of get through, that being shy and being good looking at the same time in New York is a catastrophe, because they are just like sharks, they're swimming the waters looking for that shy, cute one, because that's consuming. But yeah, I mean, I can see that, and it's good that he saw the good parts of me, because in New York, it's just like everybody wants you to be bad, and I just can't be bad anymore. That's why I left America. But that's good to know that he was But did he feel fulfilled? That's the thing that I'd like to know.
Yeah,
Was he comfortable with who he was?
He's like he said, he was very fulfilled with his life and with what he was given. He knows that what he was given was unusual, not the norm, and he was very much fulfilled in that. His pain, his depression, his sadness never came from his work. His work was the one thing that really kept him going, that kept him feeling important and feeling like someone. But otherwise, he had this very sad, dark side that followed him. Not dark bad, just sad and dark, depressed, because his family in particular was not accepting of his sexuality. So that was hard for him.
And I'm sure both things combined, going through that, and that
such a thing about
was just, the combo is not good. Not good.
Terry, what you had a question, something you wanted to know?
Well, it was kind of the same thing as
especially I think most of the things.
I'm sorry. Did you say something, Mel? Oh, I didn't hear. It was kind of along the same lines that Mel was saying. Is that did he enjoy the successes? Did he get to enjoy them, or was he always, being someone who battled depression, was he always in that space where he wasn't really able to fully enjoy the successes? I mean, he accomplished so much in such a young age. Was he able to really be present whenever he was, working with, celebrities and having all this great press? Did he get to, enjoy that and really, feel that for himself?
Yeah, he said, like, his work is where he found his joy, and so he was able to lose himself in his work. And those are the moments about his life. Again, his work saved him in many ways that he really loved. And he really feels like, yes, that he did everything that he wanted to do and could do in his time. He just, the depression for him he's saying, had I lived long enough to where I saw the decline of that kind of generation, he said, I think it would have taken a toll on me. Absolutely. But overall, yes, his work was his one saving grace. And he loved very deeply. He loved his partners very deeply. He loved his friends very deeply. And he's saying most of the people that were around me didn't love deeply. And so that also fed into that desperation and depression that I experienced. It was heavy because there was this what I always lacked was the desire to fight and climb the ladder. I always lacked that. I was always looking and seeking love and connection, and that connection I was able to find in my work, because you were creating and then connecting that creation with someone else, and you would see this happy completed project, but he said, I wanted that in my personal life, and I never was able to find that.
Nice.
Hey, Maryam, real quick. I wonder what he thought about being around people like Whitney Houston and all these famous, what was that like? I mean, intimidating, enjoyed it? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. Let me see. Whenever the questions involve people I know, or like celebrities well, I have to really make sure I hear what he's saying clearly. So he's saying Whitney Houston in particular was a beautiful woman, like, just meaning not outside. Obviously, she was outside physically beautiful, but he said she was a really warm, beautiful woman, and that I think I connected and related so well to her because we shared a secret. We shared also this kind of edge of depression, but because of that, we recognized that, and she was also seeking connection. with others, being able to really have that connection. He said she was one of my favorite and who I connected with the most.
All right.
Yeah, I believe that.
Right.
I believe that. Mel, did you have any other questions about Fabrice? Mel?
That's good.
Could be that delay, I think.
Yes, the delay.
Thank you.
Yes, the delay. He's not here. Did you have any other questions?
Well, besides that, I mean, like, did he have any alliances with any of the other Black fashion designers at the time?
Did he have any other?
Yes. Was there any other alliances that he had with any other Black designers back at that period that he remembers, or that he was close to, or that sort of encouraged? Yeah, alliances like with Stephen Burrows or any of those other guys that were his contemporaries at that time.
Yeah.
Let's see. He said a lot of the other designers were very protective of their work, and they were open to a certain degree, but not to a place where you could really build a relationship and friendship with. There was always an edge, a competitive edge.
Right.
I was not competitive, so I wasn't out seeking to take someone's design or steal, but I know that that's how others behaved, and not all. And he says, I'm not saying any of them. He says, I was very lucky. I didn't have a lot of bad experiences, but I attribute that honestly just to the fact that I kind of stayed back, I didn't push. And if someone wanted to jump in front of me, I'd let them jump in front. It was like, it really wasn't that important to me, because there were other things I was searching for my whole life. There was a designer, though, that the name started with an S, and I believe you said it. Who was it?
Stephen Burrows, Willie Smith. I'm trying to think who else would have been there. Yeah, she said Stephen. Yeah, I said Stephen Burrows.
Stephen Burrows, because he was kind of his friend, I think.
I was just gonna say the first one you said.
Stephen Burrows, yeah.
Yeah, the first one you said.
Can't think of anybody else with an S.
No, that's it. That's it.
They had that was someone that I connected with, and we did have a nice camaraderie and relationship. That was a fulfilling. This person, they came from the heart as I did, and so we connected because of that.
Very cool. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Well, of course, if I'm here, that means that our time draws nigh.
That's good to know.
So,
good to know. Because I most met Stephen Burrows recently, and I wouldn't have that opinion of him, but that's all a different story.
Well, Mel, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
That's like, I mean, the whole thing without him feeling fulfilled was like something that was very deep in my heart, because I just felt at that time he was like really good, but he wasn't getting the recognition that he should have received at that particular time. And then in the footnotes of the best designers in America, I have a book, and he's just like about a quarter of an inch of information, which is like so nothing, but I guess if you don't sort of beat your own drum in New York City, that drum doesn't get heard, and that's like, and New York was at that particular time, everybody's thinking that somebody's trying to steal something from them. Get over it, Queens. It's not happening. But that's life in a big city.
That makes sense.
Indeed.
Thank you guys.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for yet another unique celebration of Black history. Terry Davis, we appreciate you. Mel Grayson, thanks so much for being our special guest tonight.
That's a good revelation.
And as always, Mr. Dedo and Maryam, thank you so much. Everybody,
good night.
So,
have a good one.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Terry, are you still there?